workflow is I like to think of almost a story that the user will walk through in terms of finding information about their compensation. And it's really made up of what I would call kind of three distinct components of reports. And I'll talk in a minute where that could actually get boiled down into maybe two unique systems. So the first is really the compensation summary. I mean, at the fundamental level, it's just, what was paid? What did I get? And it's really what we want to do is try to provide that information at a summary level without a lot of noise, so that those people that are going in to say, I just want to know, what can I expect to hit my bank account, or maybe what that is made up of in terms of the larger buckets of compensation, commissions and bonuses, balances and adjustments and things like that. I just want to see that at a very summary level, so that I can understand that, look at it, get in and get out of the system if that's all I was looking for. We kind of go from there and say, okay, well, if that's not all I need, or if I need to get down to a little more clarity, or to kind of going back to that second message, what can I do from that, right? So it starts to make the reports a little more actionable. And so from there, actually being able to drill down on a particular element of that summary and see, okay, well, how did you actually calculate that, right? And so at that point where we actually get into the calculation formula, at least at a varying level of detail depending on where the organization goes. And I'll show an example of what that could look like. So those, that may not always be the path that the user, needs to go down, but certainly if there's questions or challenges about the pay, that's the level of detail that the user will fundamentally want to get down to. And so that kind of gets a bit to the empowerment, like being able to find the answer themselves without having to call, the support team to weed through, volumes of data to come back with the answer. And then the last one is, okay, well, you tell me, how you calculate my pay, but did I really get credit for everything? And we see a lot of scenarios where folks are, expecting a particular transaction to come through, and so they're going to want to get down to that transaction level as well. And so you can see kind of the flow from that summary down to the calculation detail, and ultimately, do I have everything accounted for here, or was something missed in the system? What I'm hearing already kind of from the team is that, we're talking about a compensation statement, we're talking about a transaction detail report. And so when I look at those first two, it is absolutely not uncommon to kind of combine that information into one report, but potentially just two different sections. So let's kind of go to the next page. So just kind of a little bit more detail as we can go along. I'll do a quick on, kind of highlight on each one of those three reports, and then a visual for them. So again, come back to the comp summary. I know I covered a bit of this already, but it's really about showing the earnings. And it's common to show those earnings across varying time slices. My understanding is you're talking about monthly cycles, so you obviously want to show the payment for month to date or where they're at in that current period. But in many cases, you want to show that on a year-to-date basis, and could even potentially draw in quarter-to-date. And then those earnings should really be reflected across the larger buckets of earnings at this level. And then you want to show any other kind of items that affect that ultimate payment, right? So not only do I just earn items, but I might have some manual adjustments to get applied. Those could be adjustments from prior activity, could be some kind of true-up type adjustments as well. And again, kind of summary level information about what's affecting, adding to, or taking away from my total pay in these scenarios. And then, probably the last one to consider is balances. So if I had a negative balance from the prior period and I'm carrying that into this period, I need to know that. I need to see that kind of deduction off of my current period earnings, and then showing me what the true take-home pay is going to be then for this period. So the kind of keys for this point, I think, is really it's really the first snapshot of where folks tend to go initially, just to see that pay. 80% of people will probably bail out at that point, get the information they need, and they don't need to go any deeper. But again, you want to provide that level of clarity or transparency across the spectrum, with the deeper reports, so that they can dig further down if they want to from there. and kind of the last point on there, you know, ultimately reflecting all the offsets against the commission earnings as well. So that's the adjustments in our balances. So I'm going to stop for a second. Any questions yet?
We're good.
All simple stuff for you. Okay. All right. And this is just a quick snapshot of an example standard report that is often a starting point for discussion. You know, kind of utilizing this as initial whiteboarding session for requirements. But you know, you see just along the top, you've got the demographic information, the particular payee, the date, their goal in the organization. And then, as I kind of mentioned, right, the idea of those larger buckets of earnings. So, you know, I'm seeing the different, you know, commission types that I can have payment based on. So that's individual revenue, maybe it's a team revenue component, any new business deals, you know, those kind of buckets that would be applicable to your business. And then the time slices, right, the ability to see that year-to-date, quarter-to-date, if that's applicable, and then month-to-date. And then kind of down along the bottom, I start to see any manual adjustments that get applied, and then a balance carried forward from prior period to offset some of those earnings in the current period, and then show me my actual pay. So, you know, again, real quick summary information, but, you know, most people will kind of get this and then just bail out from here.
Just a quick question. My assumption is that this data can be rearranged.
Yes.
For example. Because in the branch world, and maybe I'm off base here, but in the branch world, we typically see it month to day first, year to day first, so it's kind of like reading backwards to me. My initial reaction was I had to mentally put things in order, so I assume that's going to happen in the field. So again, just as a matter of aesthetics, typically I think we would see month to day, year to day.
Absolutely. And,
Okay.
you know, if for example, you wanted your balance forward at the top and then work down,
We
like
can tell you
oldest,
whichever.
newest, yes.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
That's all to come. We're just trying to give you an idea of what we normally see.
Just the
Perfect.
basics.
That's
Yes.
good. Thank you.
And I'm assuming on the left side, you can click on that and it will, where like strategic revenue, it will tell you what that is. Is that what that,
You can drill into things that are
Yes.
in line. Is that the point?
that's what I'm asking.
Hey, Rebel, I'm not hearing all of the questions, so if there's
Oh,
some directly, let me
okay.
know.
The question is the items that are underlined in blue, those indicate the ability to drill down further, correct?
That's right. And that's where we'll get down into really that next report, which is our compensation detail. So absolutely, from each one of those, I should be able to drill down, you know, again, kind of that 20%, you know, wants to go and see, all right, how did you actually calculate this? And so, you know, think of that really as a hyperlink in the web-based reporting that we'll provide. So that'll take you to a lower detail.
What do you typically see as a delivery method for this summary? Paper, email, dashboard? What do you typically see in
I think
For
they would go to
Calidus,
a
it's
dashboard.
web-based.
Yeah, each person would have a login, or we just provide a single sign-on from InMotion to get there.
Good. Just curious.
Rebel,
Yes.
was there a question for me? Sorry.
The question was, what's the typical delivery method?
I see.